Hey, good day, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Digitalization in Life Sciences. I want to thank each of you for your interest and participation in today's webinar. Today, we're going to be exploring digital transformation developments and trends in life sciences. When we get through the webinar today, we're going to provide some insights on the digital challenges in life sciences and how to tackle them. We'll explore proven lessons on starting your digital transformation journey. We'll have an intro to the Mendix platform, as well as real-world examples of digitalization in life sciences. And then lastly, we're excited to share a demo of a newly released electronic logbook app developed by the Orange Force in collaboration with Siemens. So today, I'll be joined with a couple of different co-presenters. So for myself, I'm Matthew Segur. I'm the managing partner here at the Orange Force US. I've been in the Mendix ecosystem now for quite a number of years, and I really focus on driving Mendix within the marketplace and helping our customers find success in their Mendix adoption strategies. I have decades of experience in providing technology-based strategies and solutions to businesses across very geographic and industry verticals. I am joined with Robin Blankenbaker. She's a life sciences portfolio development executive at Siemens. Robin has over 25 years of experience in medical device and pharmaceutical manufacturing, where she held quality assurance and regulatory affairs leadership roles before moving into the digital systems. Robin at Siemens is responsible for aligning digital solution strategies for life science companies with the Siemens Digital Industries Software. Her extensive experience working with the FDA and Visa, PMDA, and other global device regulators really informs her approach to digitalization as a powerful means to reduce risk to patients and improve business results. From the Orange Force, I'm joined with Jonathan Schmitt. Jonathan is a principal Mendix consultant and the CTO for the Orange Force US. Jonathan leads our delivery, technical vision, and digital transformation services. Jonathan has a background in full stack development, front end development, and is also a Mendix expert certified developer and trainer. Jonathan thrives on enabling our customers to improve their business processes and reduce technical pain points. Also from the Orange Force, Taylor Zavala, who's a senior Mendix consultant. He brings over 15 years of experience in designing and delivering digital solutions with a focus on low-code platforms. He has experience in building solutions for the pharmaceutical healthcare industries. Taylor utilizes his extensive Mendix experience and knowledge to create smarter solutions and add business value for organizations. A little bit about the Orange Force. Some of you may be aware of who we are, but we are a Mendix partner and a Siemens partner. As a Mendix Delivery Excellence Certified partner, we have currently over 40 Mendix expert developers and architects, many of them with more than 12 years of experience. We are also a Mendix Certified Training partner, and we offer training and enablement services to our customer base. And in addition, we are also a Siemens Solution partner. Our experience includes delivering Mendix at enterprise scale with high availability and high demand applications. We are experts in UI, UX, native mobile, integrating Mendix to augment existing IT landscapes, AI, RFID, IoT, cloud services like AWS and Azure. And lastly, integrations with any number of third-party systems, including Siemens PLM like Teamcenter or OpCenter, SAP, other or our ERP systems, and many others. And if needed, we can also extend the Mendix platform with our expertise in widget and Java development. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Robin. Again, Robin is with Siemens and we're presenting here. Thank you, Robin.
All right. Thanks so much. Again, I'm Robin Blake Siemens. Thank you everybody for joining. It's great to see such a big group here. So I'm going to be talking about some of the challenges companies face when they start to undergo their digital transformation journeys. So not maybe every company wants to become a digital enterprise leader, but you do want to become digital enterprises. And along with that comes some challenges that you face along the way to becoming a digital enterprise. So what are those challenges? Yeah. So some of the main challenges that we see that I'm going to talk about in particular today are difficulties with integrating legacy systems, right? So you begin a digital transformation journey, you're going to have to think about your legacy systems, how to bring new systems online. So integrations have to be considered because not every system can be retired at once, right? So in order to change the wheels while driving the car, we've all heard that phrase, system integrations are necessary. The same is true with data migration. New systems come online, you can't port everything over all at once. And sometimes there are challenges to porting data over. So we're going to talk about that. And then one of the biggest ones that companies tend to forget about, but we see really often, are challenges around organizational change management. It's a big one and represents the largest challenge for most companies as they undertake their digital transformation journey. Okay. So we know that there is an increased demand for digital technologies, and it's being driven from within the manufacturing organization. Here's some data, some statistics about those organizations. And this is from Gartner. We all trust Gartner. So this is data from them. So everybody wants to undertake digital transformation, but these projects tend to hit roadblocks. They don't meet timeline. They don't meet ROI. And a lot of the reasons for this are lack of skilled workforce. They're skilled in doing what they're doing today, but perhaps don't have or are intimidated by the new work that they might have to do in a new digital system. Processes change, business processes change, and that can be a barrier. Another one is, and it's stated here, the complexity of legacy technologies that tend to get in the way. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Usually large-scale transformation efforts start with a roadmap, and the roadmap should address plans for integrations, data migration, and organizational change management. We can go on to the next one. It's a nice view, nice view of a roadmap that we like to show. We have this at Siemens through one of our tools. And this shows all systems integrated, right? All your different processes from design control, operational excellence, design excellence, and your closed loop quality and compliance. It's beautiful when it's all on a page like this. But the reality, as we double click into this, is a little messier. Go on to the next slide, Matt. So as we double click into this, what we see is that companies have to consider how they're going to undertake digital transformation with probably siloed systems. So you may have a system for design control where your R&D teams work. And then you have another system that is for your manufacturing, where you might have an MES in place or other system. So, and it's separate. It's over here. It's its own siloed system. And then you probably have 99% certain you have a quality management system that's also a separate system, siloed off. And so when undertaking digital transformation, it's really important to consider, right? You can't do all of this at once, you can't change everything at once, but in your roadmap, making sure that you have a way that you've considered pathways for your integrations. So not just, okay, first we're going to start with R&D because it comes first, and then we're going to go on to manufacturing because it comes second. You have to build in your roadmap for digital transformation, how you plan on integrating legacy and future systems, as well as future systems. How can you build those future systems to be integrated? Oftentimes, R&D occurs. Information from R&D, product development, is tossed over a wall to manufacturing for them to execute on, and quality is just there trying to keep everything in balance while this is occurring. So integrations, future-proofing your systems by thinking of how you can, move from legacy, integrate legacy systems with future systems, and eventually have future connected systems is a key part to creating the success of that roadmap. Okay. So for this reason, obviously, it's imperative that you find a solution that can help you along the way, that is purpose-built to aid in integrations. And this is a key part of the journey, as I mentioned, should be considered up front so that you don't, end up, so that it enables you, not that you don't, so that it enables you to, actually change those tires while you're driving your car, to bring back that metaphor. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. All right, next one is when you're considering, this can be daunting, considering how much data needs to be migrated and how you're going to go about migrating data from legacy systems into new. Again, a priority should be considered in your roadmap. Since it's not possible to retire entire data sets, right? Many life sciences companies, you're keeping your data for 15, 20 years. It cannot be retired. And no matter how much you want to be able to put it to bed, you have to keep it. So a solution for data migration has got to be considered in your overall digital transformation roadmap. So it's not unusual for a company's digital footprint to look like this image over here on the left. Disconnected systems that you move from one, everybody in their processes, knows, they know they have an SOP, or they just know legacy knowledge to move from one to the other, to execute work. From in quality, where I have a lot of experience, I know that to get R&D data, I go over into this system to find the R&D data. And if I have to look at shipments, I go over here to the ERP system. So all of this can lead to the complexity of data migration. So what you want to look for is a way to, and build into your roadmap again, a process for data migration that allows you to put it in to support your future vision, align that data in a way that is structured and makes some sense, has your access control and integration built in. And this is how we can migrate data from one legacy systems to future systems fairly easily. So you don't have this mess over here, and you can have less of a mess, structured data moving forward. So it's very important to consider bringing in a solution that is built for data migration. All right, and finally, on to the next one. Can't say enough about the impact and importance of organizational change management to the success of any digital transformation project. And when people in an organization are provided visibility to the roadmap and are given tools that allow them to interact with their data and the new systems, they're very likely to support the overall effort. So putting data in the hands of process owners and subject matter experts early in the digital transformation projects gives your stakeholders a clear vision of where they're going. And it keeps them plugged in, keeps them plugged into the process as you're, moving through this can be uncomfortable process of building future systems. So imagine dashboarding data at the level of the organization where your subject matter expertise lives, where action can be initiated. This is empowering, and it goes a long way toward ensuring success. Not only success of your digital transformation journey, but success once you're through it, if you're ever through. But when you're in your new systems, you know, people younger than I am grew up with information in the palm of their hand or at their fingertips, and that's how they expect to work. And so the people who are hired today, actually who are working today, expect flexibility, expect open systems, and expect information at their fingertips. So if you consider those three things, that goes a long way in bringing the organization along on this journey. And it also goes a long way in helping to train them to bring up their skill level so that they're ready for the future systems. So delivering data, dashboards, information at the level of the organization where can be impactful, process owners in a clear way, good dashboarding, training techniques, putting this in the hands of the organization is key to success. And then here in this slide, when you look at it, what I see is the only real difference between reality and the vision for digital transformation initiatives is solutioning in a manner that enhances or enables collaboration and allows for your solutions to grow and change with your business and processes. So, why not make it simple, provide tools that make it simple for process owners, SMEs, to create their own, workflows, to have their hands in the data and be able to create the dashboards they need to see. Why not have an open and flexible system that allows people to interact more actively with their data, the information they use every day? I think there's another build here, Matt. Yeah, right? So as you're creating your roadmap, consider these, and you're going to see more about them here, obviously, purpose-built apps that really give the ability for domain experts to unleash their creativity, right? Build solutions that fit their needs, and really unlock and extend data and systems. All right. Oh, and I think this, I'm looking at the slide here, but I think this last point, creating a network of knowledge sharing, engagement, and co-creation is something else. If you think of this in the area of business processes, it's a very powerful tool that addresses organizational change management very directly, right? If people are working together, creating dashboards and work processes the way they need to perform them, then, right, they're working together. They're part of the process. They're part of the digital transformation journey. All right. With that, I will hand it over to Jonathan.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Everyone, I'd like to welcome Jonathan as a presenter now. Jonathan?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. I think a lot of that gives a lot of really good insight into where that need comes from. Some of the biggest highlights that I got out of that, and from what I heard, was around integration, people needing access to that data to both gain insights internally, as well as potentially offering, users, operators, as well as internal employees access to that data where they need it, so that you're not actually restricted in that way, while still maintaining life sciences level security protocols. That's really one thing that's really important here, and we'll be getting into. But first, I want to talk about what makes Mendix a good, well-suited technology for this kind of use case and for change management within life sciences. For a little background, I want to talk about Mendix as a company. Mendix is a low-code platform. That means that Mendix is a platform intended to develop both web as well as mobile applications with fully low code, so no text-based code, but entirely graphically based, visually readable code that developers and users, and as Robin was saying, potentially even process owners can evaluate in a directly visual way. Mendix has been working for about 20 years and joined Siemens in 2018. Siemens also has some strategic partnerships with SAP, AWS, as well as Snowflake. So these are some things that I want to highlight in terms of Mendix and Siemens market hold and maturity within the low code landscape. Another thing I want to highlight here is essentially a lot of customer landscape. Mendix is cross-industry. Mendix is a technology that has been widely adopted across a large number of global industries. Some specific ones that I want to highlight here in healthcare, Kermit Medtronic, as well as Eisenstein Flaherty. Those are some ones specifically in the life sciences vertical, but this is to be said that Mendix is a mature enterprise-grade software that is being used across enterprises and across industries. So that's one thing that really makes it valuable in terms of the scale and the level of maturity needed for life sciences change management applications like this. Excuse me. With that, I'll really move into the Orange Force's experience with life sciences directly. The Orange Force, as Matthew mentioned earlier, is a Mendix and Siemens partner, as well as a implementation services provider and Mendix trainer. So what that means is essentially that we help go from what Robin was speaking about, the roadmap planning, the high-level change management ideas, and go and turn them into direct level migration plans, applications, as well as services for people to actually utilize. So I'm going to be speaking a little bit about our experience with that, with Mendix and within the life sciences vertical. And then we'll also be having a demo at the end of this of one such application. The first thing I want to go through is a little bit of what makes Mendix really well suited for these type of use cases and life sciences change management. We do have other low-code vendors in the space, as well as other potentially off-the-shelf solutions, workflow management tools, things that can do a lot of similar things to Mendix, but nothing that has as many pros as Mendix as a software. At the top, as I already said, Mendix is owned by Siemens, ensuring market viability and continued innovation, as well as substantial internal investment. Siemens is one of Mendix's largest customers, as well as owner, and that means that Siemens does a lot of internal investment into Mendix directly. The next one I want to highlight here is Mendix's market capacity. Some other low-code vendors have pulled out of select global markets, whereas Mendix services all global markets. Another one I want to highlight is the pricing model. Mendix has a transparent and upfront user-based pricing model, allowing for budget planning up to 3 years, as well as leading the low-code space in terms of vision, flexibility, and execution. We'll be talking a little bit more about the specific technicals that relates to. But for now, I'll essentially call on Gartner again, as Robin did earlier here. Mendix is considered one of the leading technologies based on Gartner's market studies. Additionally, Mendix has over 20 years of helping organizations achieve their digital transformation goals and doing so in true production enterprise use cases, as well as a proven digital execution practice, which is intended to guide customers through from the actual start structure to scale phase of the enterprise software delivery structure. So all of that is to say that Mendix is, as a technology, really well suited not just for software development, but also large-scale enterprise development and high availability requirements such as the life sciences market often requires. In terms of the innovation drivers, some of what Robin was talking about earlier, we have increased demand from the market, from the end users, from potentially all across the vertical for technical demand. That could refer to cloud computing, native mobile requirements, the ability for most users to access potentially services or potentially data directly on their mobile devices in a native fashion. IoT, including medical device IoT and potentially edge devices, as well as generative AI and AI insights. All of these are things which have increased technical demand, and we only see increasing in the forthcoming years. And it's important to be able to provide technical solutioning for these ahead of demand or potentially in line with demand. Additionally, what we see is that traditional software delivery lags far behind the business demand for all of these components, as well as even standard components. We see a lot of clients and a lot of companies who are still implementing processes, as Robin showed, in segregated systems or potentially in flat files in a way that is not integrated, not forward solutionable, and is potentially just a technical risk for the future. And so that's one area where Mendix, in terms of both its speed to development, as well as its ability to develop based on need, can be really the most valuable tool there. Last one I want to say here is, again, that Mendix is a leader in low code, according to those Gartner studies, both in vision and execution, with a lot of years of actual development towards that goal. Some of those specific components of the Mendix technology that I want to highlight here are the single platform aspect of Mendix. Mendix has a number of portfolio management, application development, CI/CD, as well as governance tools built into the platform, both as part of the IDE, as well as part of the digital services that come with the platform, and all of that make it well suited for production and enterprise grade solutions. The next one I want to highlight here is multi-experience. This is the ability for Mendix to deploy for potentially web applications, progressive web applications, as well as native mobile applications, all from the same infrastructure and design components, sharing logic and sharing a lot of components that in full stack or traditional high code development would be potentially only partially shared, or even potentially entirely different initiatives. And that can make a barrier to entry for multi-experience offerings to your customers or to your employees much lower. The next one I want to highlight here are some development accelerators. As one of the most mature low-code platforms in the market, Mendix has a large number of development accelerators, from AI assistants to marketplace modules developed from the Mendix team or from the community around the Mendix team, application templates, including common use cases that can then be modified and customized based on your specific company's needs and integration needs, as well as an active development company that really can facilitate and accelerate Mendix development even beyond what other low-code platforms might be able to provide. Additionally, I want to highlight where Mendix can deploy to, which is pretty much anywhere that Docker can be deployed to, which is pretty much anywhere. Mendix is built on a fully scalable cloud native infrastructure, which is able to be horizontally as well as vertically scaled and made highly available. Again, it is deployable across most primary cloud providers as well as on-prem, and includes some higher like government grade security options as well. So really, in terms of deployment architecture and availability, Mendix is one of the strongest in the space. The next thing that we'll get into is change management with Mendix. And this is more with regard to how we manage and implement Mendix development and Mendix practices within our customers who we actually are helping through that change management process. And as Robin highlighted earlier, this is really one of those soft skills components, one of the things that people struggle with most when it comes to changing their internal business processes. Because even if you do have a good tool and a strong foundation, a good plan, a good team with which to do it, you still have to have everyone's buy-in and the ability for everyone to feel as a part of this change process, so that you don't have, for instance, friction or regression from your actual internal company itself. Mendix has a large number of things to help facilitate and minimize this. For one, are some of those purpose-built tools, which I referenced earlier, some CI/CD tools and project management tools for developers and business stakeholders, as well as large-scale control and governance tools for IT specialists and things like that. So that's one place where collaboration across the business to IT spectrum is really facilitated with Mendix and with the Mendix toolset. And that goes right into governance, which is once you have all of your software in place and you have all of your integrations in place, You need to make sure that people only have access to what they should, and that that access is always up to date, as well as any version management, patches, things like that. All of that Mendix handles with a large governance component as well. There is a portal with which to control the access of your landscape of applications, which you might have with Mendix, as well as the ability to manage different components and dependencies within your Mendix ecosystem, as Mendix is also a modularized ecosystem. So that also provides benefit to the governance of the platform itself and the ability to share development resources. The last couple I'll highlight here are the digital execution practice, which is an entire branch of the Mendix department intended to facilitate how to actually go in with Mendix and create that change within your business, not just in terms of the technical planning, but also in terms of the business management. This is also an area where the Orange Force often helps our clients or helps consult with our clients in terms of what this should look like. And lastly, unparalleled production experience across industry sectors, as we highlighted previously. So all of these things make Mendix a really great solution for not just the technical, but also the business motivation for that change management story. The next thing that we'll be getting into is what the Orange Force can potentially do in this sphere. So as I mentioned previously, one thing that we see is a lack of skills and tooling gap. We as the Orange Force provide Mendix training and consultation to that end, as well as guide our customers through their digital transformation journeys. That's both in terms of evaluating their current IT landscape, as well as assessing business demand and road mapping. We also have accomplished a large number of large-scale data migrations. As Robin was saying previously, one huge risk for the life sciences division specifically is around those long-term and high-grade requirements for what legacy data needs to be maintained, both for instance, life of 10-year timeframes, life of the patient timeframes, anything like that, as well as application development, architecture, deployment, and maintenance. So really, in terms of a full application development and deployment shop, we are experienced across those different avenues. And then finally, I want to highlight some of our integration expertise. We have done an insane number of integrations, but some big ones that I really want to highlight here are Teamcenter, OpsCenter, SAP, and some various MES systems, which are particularly applicable to the life sciences division here. With that, we're going to move on to some of our use cases, which we have worked on in collaboration with Siemens Mendix or potentially some of our life sciences customers. The first one I want to talk about here is around self-service portals. One thing that we see around use cases which are often unfilled is, as Robin was saying, the ability for physician-patient portals to be fully modernized and offered to those end users, as well as the ability to offer telemedicine services and telehealth services. Oftentimes in the modern landscape, we find that clients might have to potentially go with certain not optimal third-party vendors for these types of solutions, or potentially just don't have the ability to stand up their own internal systems. Whereas Mendix has not only some templates to get started from with these different use cases, but also can customize to your integrations, to your specific development needs further still. Some additional ones that I want to highlight here are around regulatory compliance. And this is another area where orchestration and data management is really critical. And Mendix, both in Mendix Connect and Mendix's architectural and integration components and features, make this really valuable, is the ability to manage your data as well as manage processes and workflows throughout your organization. So ones that we've seen previously relating to regulatory compliance have been around pharmaceutical waste management, the ability for companies to segregate and store waste, as well as track waste inventories complying with state and federal regulations, device registration in an adjacent capacity, meeting or exceeding US FDA device tracking requirements set by the Safe Medical Devices Act, as well as other use cases for product standard reference and unique device identification and laboratory information as well. So really, we see use cases all across the life sciences spectrum where Mendix can plug in with different connectors to your existing systems where appropriate, or potentially offer net new functionality as needed. One that I'd like to highlight here specifically is the Siemens Electronic Logbook. This is one application which we've been working on in partnership with the Siemens team. which is intended to fully replace any paper-based logbooks, as well as provide substantial historical, auditing, and process information to the users of those logbooks. This is an application which we, as the Orange Force, have been working on collaboratively with the Siemens team. And I'll be having Taylor, the lead for this application, presenting on it. But for a little background, some of the goals here are for operators to be able to go through workflows anywhere in their facility or potentially on a piece of equipment within their facility, capture what events, capture what notes, capture what data might be appropriate there, including images and video, as well as then be able to provide the ability for site administrators to be able to modify what those different standard operating procedures and workflows might actually be, essentially streamlining the process from a operator knowing what they need to do and coming in the morning to being able to actually execute on it and record that data. So with that, I'll be handing it over to Taylor here. And I want to thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan. And let me go ahead and share my screen. So just to confirm, Jonathan, is the application showing?
Yep, we've got you.
Great, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Zavala. I was the lead dev on this Siemens Electronic Logbook app. We developed it as an application template, meaning the core functionality is pretty much in place, but we designed it with the idea in mind that it's probably going to need to be customized to some extent for specific business needs. So as I go through the demo, I'll try to point out a few places where it could potentially be customized, or places for integrations. So anything you see, this could this isn't a set in stone solution. We did try to make it as flexible as possible, and it's highly configurable out of the box with no additional development in Mendix, and I'll show some of those configuration options off. I'm going to run through two different roles. The supervisor, who's responsible for configuring the foundational data for the application and also managing the workflows, and the operator role, which is actually doing the day-to-day logbook entries, executing on the assigned workflows, and all that. So let's go ahead and start off with the supervisor role. I'm already logged into the application. We're on the home page here, so you can see we've got a dashboard where we can see workflow executions that haven't been started, as well as in-progress workflows. We see some logbooks. We have our pinned logbooks that we favorited and probably frequently access, as well as logbooks that we may have recently accessed as well. As the supervisor, I'm able to assign workflows to individuals or multiple individuals. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new workflow execution here. We'll make it for our clean in place bioreactor process. We're going to assign it to production bioreactor B. I'll assign it to my operator as well as myself so I can keep an eye on it. Just confirm that everything looks good and hit create. So in a production scenario, we'd probably send an email notification to the assigned users of the workflow. We're just running this in a test environment, so we've got that turned off right now, but you can see in our to-do column, we now have the additional workflow execution for bioreactor B there. Additionally, we have the workflow execution report that we can view as a supervisor. So this will show the average execution time for our workflows. We can modify the time period or filter to specific workflows if we'd like. I see this as a place where if a customer chose to deploy this solution, we could extend this with additional KPIs based on what's important to the customer. So let's go ahead and switch over to the operator now and take a look at, what some of the day-to-day logbook entry looks like and executing on some of these workflows looks like. So first, let's start by accessing a logbook. I'll just take one of our logbooks that's already here under recent logbooks and dive in. So we've got the logbook here with its entries listed. If I needed to filter because I had, tens or hundreds of logbook or entries, I could. I can, view an entry by double clicking on it. And I can create a new logbook entry. So let's go ahead and do that. We have an action. So this is configured by the supervisor in the application. We'll get to that in a little bit. I select my action. In this case, I also need to select a sub-action. So we'll select visual inspection. We can save that. And you can now see we've got our newly created logbook entry. If I made a mistake, that's not a problem. The logbook entries are versioned so that you can go back and edit them if needed. So we'll do that. So maybe I chose the wrong action. So we'll change this. And we'll save it. You'll see the versions incremented to 2 on this logbook entry. And I always have the ability to go back and view the history of a logbook entry. So if I click history on a logbook entry, I get a list of the versions, and I'm able to go through and see what's changed. I can also pin any logbook to my homepage if I want. So let's go back to the homepage real quick and show another way to access the logbooks. The logbooks can also be accessed here on the left-hand side. And this gives us a location tree on the left. This was configured by the supervisor. And so this is reflecting the locations in our organization and all the logbooks that are currently available. So this gives you a central place to access your logbooks, and you can click down into a location to see specific logbooks and then open one up as you would normally. So next, let's go into the workflow execution. So I have a couple workflow executions assigned to me. Let's work on this clean in place for bioreactor that's assigned to bioreactor A. So I click on it. I'm taken to an overview screen where I can see an overview of the steps that includes the instructions and the input fields that I'll need to fill out for each step. So let's start the workflow. As you can see, I see my instructions, instruction media, and inputs. This was all configured in the application by a supervisor, and I'll dive into that in a little bit. So the instruction media, since this is an image, I have the ability to click on it, get a better view of it to help inform the instructions I'm executing. So let's go ahead and execute on our inputs. We've got a checkbox. We also have a drop down here. In this case, it's required, indicated by the asterisk. If I try to proceed, it's going to prevent me from proceeding. So we'll go ahead and fill that out. We'll go to our next step. We have another instruction. In this case, we have a different piece of instruction media. It's a document. I'm able to click on it, open it up, review it. It's just another way to communicate more information to the operators when they're working on a workflow. So in this case, we've got a text box that needs to be filled out. So I'll do that. And an image input. So in this case, I'm on a desktop, so I'll be uploading a picture. If I was on a tablet, I'd be able to access my camera's tablet and snap a picture of whatever's being asked for. So we'll save that and we'll go to the next step. Next, we've got data input here, and we'll go ahead and say this started at 8. And since this is the last step, I now have the complete button available. It's just going to ask me to confirm that I want to complete the workflow because no further edits will be allowed, so we'll complete it. And we'll return to the overview page. You can see the steps now have a status of completed. If I expand it out, I can see all the data that was collected during the execution. And so now let's go back to the home page. So that workflow is no longer on our dashboard. And the other thing I know, because I was the supervisor that configured the workflow, this created a logbook entry automatically on behalf of me by completing that workflow after step 3. So let's go to the logbook for bioreactor A. So as you can see, we've got a newly created logbook entry here. If we open it up, we can see that it was automatically created, tells us what step created it, and gives us the execution ID for the workflow execution. And then it's got an action of cleaning in place that comes from the configuration of the workflow step. And with that, I'm going to switch back over to the supervisor, and we'll dive into some of this configuration. So we have several different configuration options. We have the location types and equipment types. Those are kind of foundational. Then we have locations. This is where we build out that tree structure you saw on the logbook page. It's also present here on our equipment. So we could, configure our equipment manually from this page, or, make changes to a piece of equipment. This could potentially be a place where we integrate with another system to pull, like an MES system, to automatically pull that equipment, so it's not having to be manually configured. You could potentially, pull your location data from an ERP as well. So actions, that's where we configure the action, sub-action dropdowns that are used for our logbook entries. The audit trail, so all our data is auditable. We track everything, additions, deletions, creating records. This is another potential integration point where maybe we ship this data off to a data warehouse or something, depending on what your company needs in terms of compliance. And so let's jump over to workflow. So this is where we manage our different workflows. We currently have 3 different workflow processes configured. There are 2 different types of workflow you're able to configure. One is an equipment workflow that, when you assign an execution, has to be assigned to a specific piece of equipment. The other is a process workflow. So you could build out a process to collect some data or something at your facility, but it's not specific to a piece of equipment. So there's no, you can't configure any associated logbook actions. So let's jump into the bioreactor, or the clean in place for bioreactor process, and take a look at it. So currently, there's only one active. We just have the version 1. I'm going to create a new version of it. So that clones version number 1 and creates a draft version that we can edit. The versioning allows for in-flight workflow executions to stay with the version that they're on, and then newly created versions of the workflow will use the new version once we publish it. So we'll go ahead and edit this draft to see what a workflow consists of. We have steps. Step consists of instructions. You can also optionally have an action. This creates the logbook entry. If you have the action, sub-action configured, creates a logbook entry in the logbook for the equipment that the workflow has been assigned to. Additionally, we have inputs. Those inputs can be a variety of different types. And we also have our instruction media, which you saw displayed after the instruction back to the user as part of the workflow execution. So let's go ahead and add a step here. So let's say I want to add a sanitization step. So we'll do that quickly. Instructions are rich text, so gives you some formatting options to make it readable for your operators. And let's go ahead and configure an action for this as well. Cleaning, sterilize in place. We'll save that. So the new step is created at the bottom here, but let's say we actually want this sanitization step to happen before the clean in place cycle. We'll go ahead and move this up. And then I'd like to know what sanitizing solution the users used during the step. So we'll create a field or an input field here. And to make it easy, we'll make it a pick list so they only have a few options to choose from. We'll also make it required so that they have to complete the field before moving to the next step. So add our list options. Save that. And so I think the workflow's looking pretty good now. I'll go ahead and go back. And I think we're ready to use this version of the workflow. So we'll go ahead and publish it. It's just going to ask me to confirm here. So that's going to make version 1 inactive. Now, any in-flight created workflow executions that were created from version 1 will still remain on version 1. Any newly created workflow executions will be version 2. So let's check that out. So we have our previously created clean in place for bioreactor on bioreactor B here, still on version 1, showing 3 steps. If I create a new workflow, assign it to A, and create this. So you can see we've got the additional workflow execution that I just created here. It's got 4 steps. And it's using version 2. That concludes the demo. I appreciate everyone's time, and I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah.
Wonderful, everyone. That was really great work. I'd like to open it up now to everyone that's attending. If there are any questions for the team, please feel free to utilize the Q&A section and post your questions. So I'll give everyone here a brief minute to populate that. And while we're waiting for that, Robin, I do have a question for you. So while everybody's thinking, so how do you see customers utilizing a low-code platform like Mendix to really gain insights into their current sort of organizational data?
Yeah, Matt, that's a softball, but I have a lot of answers. And some of the things we're exploring with Mendix is once you have access to the app, once you're building from it, managing your complaints, managing risk management data, having visibility to risk management data, you can start to build a data structure from, let's say, complaints to risk management to your non-conformances and CAPAs. I'm talking quality stuff mostly here, but this is an example of where you can basically automate your management reviews and begin to automate escalation. Nonconformance comes in, a complaint comes in. You can start to see the process where you can have automated escalation to different, levels of control. And then eventually apply AI. Once you have all your data in place, you can apply AI to kind of do that for you or suggest escalations and risk changes.
Great. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate that. No questions yet. So why don't I generate another softball here from one of the other presenters? Taylor, how about you? Since we just got off the demo here, let's think about this. So can you maybe highlight some of those potential integration points, right, for the electronic logbook app?
Yeah, I know I kind of went through that pretty fast. I think one of the key ones would be possibly integrating with your MES to pull your equipment automatically. Right now it's configured, it's manually configured in the application, but pulling that equipment over, pulling your locations over from your organization. I think there's also an opportunity to potentially, depending on your requirements around auditing, ship that data off to another like data warehouse or something as well. And of course, we'd integrate with SSO. I was using local accounts in the application, but we'd integrate with your SSO provider of choice as well.
Great. Thanks. And maybe you could also highlight the types of users and maybe, accessibility and security that kind of gets built in around that, right? So that, the specific user is sort of seeing what they're supposed to. Can you kind of just touch on that too?
Yeah. So in terms of the workflows, the operators are only able to see the workflows that are assigned to them. So, that's going to prevent confusion, as well as, if you've got sensitive data, providing a level of segregation and security there. The supervisors are, overseeing everything. And so they have a little higher level of access and can review all the work that's being done.
Great. Thank you. How about one for you, Jonathan? Maybe based on some of your experience and, here at the Orange Force and our customer engagements, can you sort of highlight, some of the challenges, right, that we're sort of experiencing? I know we sort of got into them at the high level, things like integrations, people, that change management thing, but maybe you can highlight some of those adoption strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as we talked a little bit in part of our deck, one thing that we have assisted some of our clients in is around understanding some of where their business processes and their business efficiency lacks. As we discussed, the point here is not just technical development, but also business development. So really blending those two from an organizational perspective is what provides the value there in our experience. And we start that with some business process analysis, usually some form of business discovery. Hey, what are your what are your pain points in your processes? What are some pieces that you have difficulties or challenges with, or areas where could be improved? Logbook, for example, was one where we've seen this previously. And then from there, move on to what are you actually going to do about it? So starting with portfolio planning on what potential use cases, applications, systems, microservices you might need to solve those. And then from there, going through budgeting and execution. And the budgeting and execution is where we see Mendix can be a value add there because of the lower time to value, as well as because of the lower effort to value with Mendix applications and with Mendix landscapes. We see that can be improved a little bit from a budgeting and execution perspective. But in terms of how we specifically help is really on that business portfolio planning and then technical execution piece there in terms of not just, hey, here's where all of your data currently is. It's in these 10 different locations. How can we orchestrate these? How can we potentially connect or optimize them? But also then actually executing on that, going through those data migrations, as Robin was discussing previously, which are often a pain point for large businesses, and then actually creating applications to utilize them at the other end.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan. I want to thank again all the participants today. Thank you for joining us. It was exciting to see the number of people interested.
Matthew, I do see one question came in, actually.
Okay.
It appears to have come from Mirzad. Could you please explain the cost of using your platform and how you deal with startups with limited budgets? I don't know, Matthew, if you have any thoughts there.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple of options around pricing, right? So you got two components in general. You have the platform pricing, and then you have the services side, right? So if you were to engage a partner like the Orange Force, that would be our services to help you sort of through the adoption and implementation process. On the platform side of things, there's a couple of key inputs there. Obviously, it's the number of applications that you want to build, right? Is this a single app kind of license, or is this an unlimited app? The other piece of that is really run users. So these are sort of named users both within your organization as well as external users. So say if you have external customers or partners that would need to sort of engage with the application itself. And then the last piece of that is deployment. So where is this Mendix application going to live? And there are a number of different options there. Mendix has its own public cloud that can handle that on the customer's behalf. If you would like the applications to sort of live on your infrastructure, that's an option. We can totally deploy on-prem. Or if you have your own private cloud, that's something that we can also deploy to as well. If you get into, say, more governmental type side of things, there's government cloud options as well with that. So the pricing gets really specific on those three items, right? So if you'd like some further conversations about that, we can discuss that.
Yeah, and just as a small add there, specifically with how that relates to startups with limited budgets, I think that the Mendix user-based structure there means that oftentimes those startups might have a smaller user base, which kind of goes hand in hand with the lower actual platform cost component there. So,
great point. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yep.
I do not see any other questions here, and we are at the top of the hour. So again, I'd like to thank all the participants. Thanks for joining us. Presenters, great work. It was great doing this with you all today. And I will leave you all to the rest of your days. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Bye.
Have a great one. Bye.